All right. Hang on. Let's do mics real quick. Let me hear you.
Hello, hello, hello. We are doing episode.
You got it too far away. So look, watch what I do. This thing, if I point to you or look at the camera, either way, it's still in front of my mouth.
Yes.
Over here, on the last one, you had it all the way over here.
No.
So I'm going to have to probably spruce it up a little.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how a microphone works. You keep it like.
You know what?
I'm sharing
I
with
will
you.
put you through that wall.
I don't want you to go another 40 episodes doing that.
Cool.
I'm dragging ass. Don't fuck with me.
All right. So why are you dragging ass?
Because I stayed up last night to watch my dreaded Lakers play. And I couldn't, like, the game started at 10:20 p.m.
What time did you go to bed?
Like 2 a.m.
Oh, yeah. I usually am the late one, and I went to bed before you. And I think it was like almost 1. So,
God, they played horribly. It was so not worth it.
Did they win?
They did win. And I'm still angry because I'm turning into an angry old man.
Okay. So was it worth the stay up late?
No. I mean, they won this game that they shouldn't have even been playing in, given all the star power on the team. And like after the game in the interviews, they were joking around like clowns. Kobe is crying somewhere right now, you know?
And MJ is just shaking his head.
This is like really, I know this is deep in the woods, like sports shit that a lot of our.
Yeah, but I know Michael Jordan wouldn't do that.
Mike, I hate to say it. I really do hate to say it because
I don't know why you're a Michael Jordan hater. You're like the
I'm not
only
a hater.
person.
I'm not a hater at all. I respect him.
You just don't like to give me props because you know.
I like to mess with you because you're from Chicago and you get easily rattled.
Well, obviously they did not play up to your expectations.
They did not play up to Lakers' expectations.
I love, what do you call it? Couch coaches.
That's me for sure. I'm just so like, why would you joke around after the game? It's like, hello.
Be serious.
This is like, people are like, oh, LeBron's the second greatest of all time or whatever. Like there was a time where he was on track to become the greatest. But the difference is he doesn't have the killer instinct that Michael Jordan had, or Michael Jordan didn't even have the killer instinct that Kobe had. So not only is LeBron James okay.
I think we should get on with the show because you're talking crazy talk right now.
I'm pissed off because I'm getting old. Okay. Anyway, let's talk about getting old today. What do you say?
Oh, I think that's a great topic.
How age is affecting your mindset. Ready, set, go.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hey listeners, ever wonder what it would be like to blow up your comfort zone at the tender age of 50? Well, we did just that. When our last kid went off to college, we hit the road in search of a new hometown. Now we bounce from city to city and bring you along for the ride. This is the Skip Town All-Stars podcast.
All right, All-Stars, welcome back for another episode. We are so excited to have you with us today. How you doing, Trixie?
I'm doing good.
Better than me.
Yeah, I was not aggravated at all by a basketball game. Doing way better.
Sports. I love them, but I hate them. Anyway, today we are going to focus on a couple things. I have a question for you. Okay. And this has been resonating with me lately. We've actually touched on this subject in a previous episode. But let me start by asking you this. In terms of missed opportunities in your life, do you have any regrets?
I do, but I always think the moment I think about how that was a missed opportunity, I immediately come to the place of, well, I wouldn't be here had I taken that opportunity. So it's bittersweet. It really is a double-edged sword. I had an opportunity right when I met you to go on tour with a musician, Alanis Morissette.
Oh, just a little musician called Alanis Morissette? Like, fucking kidding me?
And the opportunity was available to be her set stylist, which
you blew it.
I did, but how hard?
I could tell. I don't even know how this. Well, I know how the story ends because somehow you end up with me.
Yeah.
But
so how hard would it have been? Like
you totally blew it.
Black jeans and black t-shirt. It would have been so easy to style her. But I passed it up, and I don't know if you remember when
you were never like you didn't go to school for design or anything like that.
No, but I worked at a record label.
Yeah.
I was extremely punctual. I did my job very well.
You showed up. That's good.
I dressed cute. I was knowledgeable on all things fashion. So they were like.
So the number one reason was you dress cute.
Probably. And the fact that I was a really responsible person. So, and I was a good listener. So they were like, okay, you can work side by side with an artist. I mean, again, it's Alanis Morissette. It's like black jeans and a black t-shirt. How hard is it to style her? Just get the sizes right. And,
that's back when she was still very angsty.
Yes. So, but I remember we were just dating. I think we were like 6 months into our relationship. And I came to you and told you I had this opportunity. And you were like, well, if you go, we probably won't last. Because
did I say that?
You did. You and I
don't remember this at all.
So am I making this up?
I'm not saying you're making it up. I'm just saying I don't remember it. So
yeah,
I'm not saying
you were there. I'm assuring you that you were there.
Okay, good. I'm not saying I don't remember saying that. Okay. I'm not arguing with whether or not I said that. I'm just saying I don't even remember you being offered this position. That's what I
gave up. Look at what I gave up, and he doesn't even remember it. This is awesome. I gave that up for this person. Yeah, and you don't even remember.
You are winning. Hashtag winning.
I made the best decision, clearly.
Go back to Alanis Morissette.
I made the best decision, clearly. You don't even remember.
I feel like I'm about to become a punching bag for your jokes. Go on.
So I sat down with this magnificent human being. And
Alanis Morissette.
And told him I had a life-changing moment in front of me. And we had an in-depth conversation about how it would change the course of my life, and it could change the course of his life in any direction I'd picked, whether I said yes or I said no. It would be life-changing for both of us. And he doesn't remember.
I mean.
Yeah, awesome. So as you can clearly see, I made the right decision. I stayed. Yeah. So anything else you want to ask me?
Yeah, I do. So that's it. So that's your big regret. You didn't go on tour with Alanis Morissette?
And I didn't go to law school.
Oh, well, that's a bigger deal.
Yeah, that was before I met you, and that bad decision I made on my own.
Okay. Care to elaborate?
No, it wasn't a bad decision. I applied to law schools. I took the LSAT. I ended up working at a law firm for a year and just realized it wasn't for me. But as I am older, I'm regretful because I really do care about the environment. I'm only one person. I try to do my share. I really would have loved to have gone into environmental law, like Greenpeace. But that's the only thing I regret. It's like I haven't made an impact on the world. And that would have allowed me the opportunity to make an impact on the world in the way that, I wanted to, and even now as an adult, wish I could have. But it doesn't mean I'm going back to law school, because hell no, I'm not.
You're not going to do it?
I'll never go back to school. I hated school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I worked really hard in college. I had a 3.9. I was magna cum laude.
You were very good at it.
I studied all the time. I think it was so much so that it burned a negative experience in my brain. You and I?
Yeah, I know. We've talked about it. I just didn't realize, I thought there was like a sliver that, people do crazy stuff.
I'll work for Greenpeace doing something else, but it won't be law.
People go back to school all the time, even at our age or older. And so
there are so many people that go back to school at our age. I'm 54, you're 52. It is so common for people now to get a second pivot in their life. I mean, they're calling it like the Great American Pivot, like the age that we are. It's no longer the ARP. It's like, what are you going to do at this stage? But for me, no, I will never go back to school. Like if you offered me to go back and get a master's or work at the mall, I would pick the mall.
Wow. So the door is slammed. It's not even ajar.
Oh, it's like boarded up.
I didn't realize that.
It's boarded up.
All right.
Yeah.
Got it. It's boarded up. I, on the other hand, would definitely go back to school if I could, if I wasn't paying the tuition of 2 students already.
Hey, maybe you'll get a discount, a third.
Oh yeah, a family rate. Yeah. Let's see. I'd have to, the one thing that's daunting is not just the expense, because college really is a racket. I can tell you as somebody who sees the tuition payments going out every month, it is exorbitantly priced for the same education that you and I got.
Oh, for sure.
At that age. It's incredible.
But you would be one of those 50-somethings that would go back to school.
I've always kind of wanted to teach at the collegiate level, to be a professor. Mm-hmm. And especially after working in an industry for almost 20 years, it's like, I think I have some actual insight to offer students what to focus on, what not to focus on. When I went to school, it was all theory bullshit. And I graduated and I didn't know how to operate a camera. So that's a huge problem, Yeah. Now, granted, there are a lot more schools with hands-on tech and all that stuff because I think nowadays, they know they have to compete for graduates. Emerson College, for example, in Boston's a great one. So, several in my industry that are good.
Well, they're not just competing for college students. I mean, it's like,
no, making their graduates competitive right out of the gate to enter the workforce.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Because you're paying $100,000 in student loans. Okay. Yeah. And I'm lowballing it. And then your kid gets out and they can't get a job. So you're right. Yeah. They want to make it look very, what's the words? I can't find the word. Like I want to say savory, but that's not the word.
Appealing.
They want it appealing. They want to make it look appealing to parents that are writing that check. Like, hey, your kid will come out and they'll get a job right away.
Right. Well, that's usually the idea, but
that shit doesn't always happen. No, forget that. Like, how many people do we know whose little baby, their little baby girl is like, still working at Applebee's with a college degree?
Well, I mean, that was me for the first 4 or 5 years out of college. So even in the 90s, but now with today's job market,
I know, but your college cost $12,000. But when someone else
$12,000 in debt,
right? But when someone else's their kid has $150,000 in debt and they're still babysitting and they have a college degree, like they're getting mad at their kid, But it's hard. It's hard out there. So when you have a college that says, "Hey, our alumni is really strong and we can get your kid a job right out of school,"
sure,
that's appealing. And so colleges definitely are working harder, but it's so expensive. Back to what you're saying.
So many colleges are working harder. The smaller colleges are working harder for sure. I agree with that. The bigger colleges are just writing their name and writing on their reputation as, having a great basketball team or a great football team or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, your kid graduates with $200,000+ in debt. And
everyone
they're making
says
$32,000 a year.
And then everyone says, "Oh, they have a really good football team." Like, little Jimmy went to like wherever and like, "Oh, their football team's so good."
Yeah.
But back to school. So you would go back to school at this age?
I would. Yeah. Okay. If I could afford it, but I can't. And so I can't justify the cost right now. Who knows? In 5 years, maybe I'll do it. But yeah, I always envision myself being able to at least, if I didn't go back on the track to teach at a collegiate level, I would instead try and get an MBA of some sort and I feel like I could do better in terms of business sense. And I would be a lot more of a valuable player in my children's lives as they're growing up and they're earning income.
Got it.
So I would be able to steward them a little bit better than I can right now.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So my return on investment would be my kids would make a lot of money. I don't know if that's good business or not to pay all that money to go to business school, but it's a thought.
Okay.
So
do you have any regrets? I mean, is not going and getting your master's one of them? Like, what, do you have any regrets?
I mean, I don't regret not getting my master's yet. I was so broke when I finished my bachelor's degree that I just wanted to make money.
Got it.
And feed myself. And, I was really, really struggling like right out of college. And then with the student loan payments coming due and all that, it only served to make me struggle even more. So, and I was one of those people that just I couldn't figure it out. Like a lot of people know, not a lot of people, but a fair amount of people know right out of college what they're going to do with their lives. I had no idea.
So master's so that's not a regret of yours. So
no,
do you have any regrets?
I mean, yeah. Okay. So I would say career-wise, my only regret is if anyone who knows me knows that I love watching music videos. You catch me watching Vivo for hours on end on a given weekend night or whatever. And I was in a band when I was younger. I always thought that I would be doing more with music, and I do feel like in terms of my career, I could have gravitated more toward music shows. Like I kind of regret I never got to do a behind the music for VH1 or something like that. Cause I watched every single one, I was a rabid fan, and I consume a lot of music still to this day. I listen to new music from new kids and new rappers and all that stuff. And I digest a lot and I listen to some really bad shit, but I'm always willing to try out a new band, a new act, whatever. And I'm not afraid to even if the band sucks, if they have one good song, I'm not afraid to put it into my rotation. So
it's funny.
Music, I just wish I would have done more in the universe of music in my career.
Okay. You still can if you wanted. I mean,
totally.
And it's funny because you say at 52 years old, you check out new music, you listen to rap. There are a lot of 52-year-olds out there who only listen to like the Eagles. Like,
you know that? I mean, I think you saw some of the responses, right? Like maybe you didn't on some of our.
No, they came at you. They came at you hard.
Like I had that post on social media about having to listen to Foghat at the resort in Mexico, like for like Sugar Ray for
Sugar Ray would have been a welcome. They didn't play Sugar Ray. Are you kidding?
Yeah, that would have been a welcome.
It was like the Eagles. It was like safety
572 times by the pool in a given week. It's like, who wants to listen to shit? Like the safety dance.
So
do I want to listen to the safety dance?
Yeah, you did a social media post about how bad the music is.
They came hard.
Oh, they came at you hard. And they're your age people.
I know. And they're like, oh, well, that's where the best music was or whatever. It's like, I don't disagree that, like Prince, Madonna, Bruce Springsteen, like boom, they all exploded in or the 70s music, the Commodores or whatever. I get all Journey, all those bands are great. And it was but let's face it, for every Don't Stop Believin', there's a Dexys Midnight Runners. You know what I mean?
Like a bad one. Yeah.
Come On Eileen.
Yeah, those are
seriously,
all bad
we're paying Come On Eileen.
But it's not even that. It's like there's something about, I would say, honestly, like Gen Xers that are stuck in their parents' playlist.
True.
And it's like they feel like because they're 52, they can't listen to Dr. Dre. Like they can't listen to Harry Styles. Like there's so many out there that are just stuck in their parents' like album collection. It's like, get out of it. Like when they came at you hard, I was like, ooh, these are all your people. These are all people our age.
Definitely.
I was like, oh my gosh. And it's just something to say about like the whole topic today being about age and like how you're judged and how you judge yourself. And that for sure, whole music judgment came hard.
It did.
And for you to say like right now, oh, I'm a music lover. I listen to rap. I listen to whatever new music.
I listen to country. I listen to all.
It's very rare to find a 54-year-old who isn't in music to say like, I listen to rap. I mean, I'm not going to find that. There's very few people I know that are this age that say, oh yeah, I'm going to listen to rap. I know you're out there listening right now saying, oh, I listen to rap too. Great. I'm so glad that you have broadened your horizons and you're listening to, but that's not the average white guy, American guy. I could tell you that much. Who's in his retirement years.
Yeah. It's like they're still listening to like Metallica's Black Album.
Right.
That's as far into the future as they've gone.
Okay. Since the show is about this, do you think that people age according to how their parents told them or their parents modeled them to age? Because I'm 54, you're 52. How often do we get side eyes about like, why are we doing this podcast? Like, what's the purpose? Why are you documenting your house hunts? Like, you're supposed to be retired. You're supposed to be winding things down. Why are you starting shit up?
You're supposed to be like drifting off into the sunset, right?
Yeah. And I never know how to respond. Like, I want to say, why? Because you're not doing it that way, or why? Because you think, because society has made you think you're not supposed to behave that way. Like at 54, shit should be dialed down, not cranked up. I find it so odd at this age and also the endeavor that we're doing, because I don't think that most people realize a lot of entrepreneurs started over 50 or even
Is that true?
Well, I say a lot, but the truth is successful ones. Like let's just come on, you got to know, like the guy from Home Depot, he started at like 51, he and his partner when they started Home Depot.
I did not know that, no.
You didn't know that?
I did not, no.
Oh, wow. Okay. So he started at 51. Like I know, Ariana Huffington, like she started the Huffington Post at like 55. Like I saw her on an interview probably a few weeks ago. And I was like, I knew she had started it later in life. I didn't realize it was at 55.
Yeah, she'd been a news correspondent or anchor or something forever.
It was like crazy. And then there's a woman who started this online company called One Kings Lane, which was a very expensive online furniture company. It's still online, but I think Neiman Marcus owns it now. She started One Kings Lane, like, I don't know, in her late 40s. And now she's in her 50s and she sold it to Neiman Marcus and is starting a whole new brand about how to be comfortable being in your 50s. Like she talks about clothes. She has an online platform. It's inspiring for sure.
Yeah.
I had a client who came to me to get her eyebrows done when I owned my beauty business.
Mm-hmm.
I did permanent makeup, and this woman came to me to get her eyebrows done, get her eyebrows tattooed.
Mm-hmm.
She was 80. She got a law degree at the age of 70.
Wow.
She went to law school at 67. Like, I could not believe that story when she told me. And I asked her, why at 67 would you go to law school? And her answer was, why not? She said her kids obviously were adults. Her grandchildren were starting college. She had a lot of free time on her hands.
Mm-hmm.
And she had always wanted to pursue law. So she went to law school at 67, got her law degree. I met her at 80. She had been practicing for 10 years.
Wow.
10 years.
That's a long time.
It was.
And a very late start.
Yeah. And when she left that room, I could not stop thinking about her story. And here I am. I mean, You're
going to law school.
No, not going to law school. I'll work at the mall, but I'm not going to law school. Here I am talking about her because her story was so inspiring. Did you know? Well, let me ask you this. What do you think the average age is of an American entrepreneur? Like, if you had to guess the age, because we have a lot of young kids that are doing tech startups. We have obviously people like the guy who started Home Depot. What do you think the average age is for an American entrepreneur?
I would say 32. Just judging by like all the shit I see on like social media and scrolling and like weight loss programs and marketing gurus, life coaches.
No, it's 44.
No way, really? We're
age,
just slightly past that age.
I know. Isn't that really exciting?
That is kind of exciting.
I know. I think it's like amazing.
44. A lot of people just like become.
Yep. Start a business at 44.
Wow.
I think it's incredible. I think it says a lot about our age and the ARP age we're entering and what that is supposed to look like, but what we can make it look like. I feel in some ways those people can allow people like us to do what we're doing and not get so much of the side eye.
I didn't realize we were getting so much side eye, but
I do think people question it.
You've got a grip on the.
People haven't questioned you?
Yeah, I mean, my friends definitely, I think, were surprised that I would embark upon this.
Because everyone has an idea.
Because they think I'm old. That's why you're too old to start this.
No shit. Yeah, that's why we're here talking about this.
Who do you think you are? Are you going to be an influencer or something? Wait, I have no desire to be an influencer. I'm not an influencer.
I know.
The only thing, like if one person gets inspired to say, fuck it, I'm leaving town, then I guess I'm an influencer. But that's as far as it goes. Like I'm not trying to sell anything.
No. Right.
I don't want your Patreon money. I don't want I'm just literally doing this show with you in an effort to show people that there's like another angle on life. You don't have to,
sit at home and cry when
trim
your
the
kids
hedges and
go
all
off to college. You don't have to sit at home and cry and your life doesn't end. And guess what? You can pivot. You can actually pivot. And there's all these I don't know. I think there's these social stereotypes of how you're supposed to behave at a certain age.
I would say this. It makes me feel really good when, we have 2 kids in college and they call me and instead of saying, hey, Dad, what's up? How you doing? Instead of me saying, well, I read a book today, they say to me, I tell them what I'm doing and I say, what are you doing? And they're like, well, I had to read this book today. That makes me feel awesome. Are you kidding me? And when they get to be my age, hopefully they take a little bit of instructive, exemplarism. That's not a word.
Yeah,
I know.
You just made that up.
But, from what the hell we've been doing all this time. I hope they apply it to their own lives.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, look, my parents retired a little differently than probably your parents did. My parents moved when they retired. They were always pretty active. So I knew that I didn't want to be that retiree that gets a pension or has my 401k and then just sits around and watches TV.
Right.
But I also knew that from my peers, as a society peers, not my friends, but my peers, a societal peer, and just customs of the past or habits of the past.
Yeah.
Starting a new business would be not the norm. So
I would agree.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think being our age is such a weird place to be because we have that thought that why aren't we slowing down? And also, can you start something new? Like, why would you move to a new city at this point? Like, why would you take on a new venture? I don't know.
Why would you do it all at once?
I do think that something has to be said about our economy. So a lot of people are forced to move from their big city when they're aging because they cannot sustain that city's economy.
They cannot sustain their same lifestyle in a city with ever-growing inflation.
Right. So those people will tend to find another place to retire, but really, honestly, not do much once they're in that new location. Like that mindset is, we have to find a place that we can afford. And that's it. It's not about, let's find a place I love. Let's find a place where I can maybe start a business. It's about what can we afford because our money has to stretch. But I think that with our platform, we have this beautiful place where we can share with our listeners what we're doing, the age we are, why we're doing it, and the risks we're taking. Because it would have been so much easier to just sell the house and do what everyone else does, find a place that's cheap to live and have our money stretch. But we're not doing that. And there's a lot of people out there that are just like us that want to try something new, but may feel like they can't because they don't have the support from their friends, their family, or they'll look silly. And I mean, I don't know. I think there was a celebrity that had a quote, something along the lines of, everything you want to do is on the other side of embarrassment or shame. And I think at our age, people tend to find it more embarrassing to say they want to try something new. Like, are they going to laugh at me? It's not the norm.
It's difficult to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And so we're doing it obviously on YouTube and all that other stuff, and great, whatever, props to Skip Town All Stars. But think about if you've always had an idea for a business and in your hometown, you were known as, the town carpenter or whatever. And now all of a sudden you want to start a dog grooming business or something like that.
But you're 56.
Yeah.
And you've
people
had
are going to say like, why are you doing, and you say, well, my back's broken and I've always wanted to start, some sort of other business, some other totally unrelated business. It's difficult when you're standing at the corner store and
you're trying to
you
explain
have to
yourself.
Articulate your dreams. And there actually is a correlation. Like I've read countless articles on this. There is a portion of execution of ideas that gets diminished with every person you tell. So if I tell you about my dreams and then I go tell 50 other people, I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to start a band or whatever. If I tell, the chances of me actually doing any of those things greatly diminishes with every person that I tell.
Okay. I'm so glad you brought this up because when we started to do this podcast, we told no one.
We did tell no one. It was the best move we could have made. Not
that our friends or family would have made fun of us or shamed us or embarrassed us, but they would have had an opinion. And because we value our friends and family's opinion so much, that definitely would have altered how we approached.
It would have had an impact.
We told no one until the day the first episode aired and people started texting us and said, why did you not tell me? And it was legitimately the best decision we made because in the end, there were some naysayers. I mean, 95% of people that know us and are friends with us, family, have been so supportive.
Incredibly supportive.
But
I shouldn't say surprisingly, like I want to believe that all our friends are supportive, but let's face it. It's like,
I think there are some
with
people,
everybody having an opinion, you figured you'd run a percentage of like 60 to 75% support and some other ones who are like, oh, that's cute. Good luck. And not necessarily saying anything negative, but not being totally supportive.
It's not even that number. I'd say it's 90% support.
Absolutely.
Maybe 10% of people like, you're kind of crazy. So it is very difficult to share an idea or a prospect of a new career you have at any age, no less in your 50s. You want to try something new. And like you said, you're going to tell like the guys at the coffee shop and then they're going to diminish it. Or your own kids could say, Dad, why are you doing that? I mean, I remember when we started this, I was thinking, what are the girls going to say? Like, they're going to think we're crazy. Yeah. They have been so supportive. The moment we told them, they were like, what? This is fantastic. I mean, that was Mia's exact words. So having that support was so helpful, but you're not always going to get it, which is why what you read, I'm a believer in that. Like, keep that shit to yourself until you open up the doors, or you purchase your first machine, or you make your first product.
Absolutely.
Keep that shit to yourself. And you also have to remember, what is that saying? Like, you're a reflection of people's, not missteps, but you're a reflection of
other people's failures.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's true. I mean, it's absolutely true. So when you have somebody that says something, you're like, you're crazy. I mean, look, I have one of my best friends, like, you know, he was like, why are you doing this? Like, I mean, and so I respect his opinion. And I was like, okay, it's not something he would take on. So I had to just like, I had to table that to like, okay, this is a reflection of something he couldn't do. Not so much like, what are we doing?
Right. The ball was already rolling down the hill before, you know, it's like, great, you can weigh in now if you want.
Yeah. We're 5 episodes
Too bad.
in.
We already did this shit. It's already out there. The horse is already out of the barn, or whatever that stupid saying is. And it's like, you know, we're doing this.
Yeah.
And I think the most refreshing thing about it is, despite whatever, everybody has insecurities about wherever they are in life. It doesn't matter. If you're 30 years old, you're like, damn, I should have tried that 6 years ago.
Yes.
If it doesn't matter what bracket you're in. You can always look back and say, damn, I wasted my youth, you know?
So true.
I think the best thing that we've done is to not ask permission to do what we're doing. And I think the biggest gift that anybody out there who is trying to really focus on doing something that they've always wanted to do, maybe you're tired of their jobs, or the biggest gift you can do yourself is to take those first steps and don't tell a single soul.
Yeah, just try it. Yeah, like, absolutely. I agree
There's
with
one
you.
person in your life, and probably mine, like, okay, so we had 2 people that were really supportive and they were in on the joke when we were starting, and that was Bert and Leanne Kreischer.
For sure.
And they, you know, I would not say that they were like, they're still to this day, like, we don't hang out with them frequently. We're not, you know, in their circle or whatever, but they were supportive right out of the gate. And for you and I, that's all we needed.
It's true. So find your 2 people.
Yeah.
I wish it could be Bert and Leanne for you.
I know. Everybody needs a Bert and Leanne. But
everybody needs a Bert and Leanne.
But my point is, you would have, like, if you had really if you were passionate about this for a long time, you have a girlfriend you could have told about this.
Absolutely.
Like, you could have told, I'll use a case in point. You could have told Erin McCatton, who was working with you or whatever, and she would be like, I would totally help you out with that. Right.
Yeah.
And so, just using her as an example, I have one friend, my friend Mike, where I could have bounced a business idea off, and I talk about financial shit with him every once in a while. He's way better at it than I am, but I would say, hey, what do you think of this? And he would be like, dude, you should totally do it, but do it this way, you know?
Right.
And
we all have that person or persons in our lives where you know in your gut what you're going to get from them when you approach them. So you know if they're going to be supportive or not. So look, do not tell people that you know are going to be naysayers before you've started. Just let you know what? Let the pile stack up, and then you can have a conversation with them.
Right. And I think, you know, going back to the snowball analogy, as you press on and you're persistent about it, and people realize like, oh shit, they're serious, you're going to start attracting people that are enjoining your cause. Case in point, watch the credits at the end of this show. You will see Patricia Childress's name. And, you know, like, we have people now that are sort of Morgan, Katie, all these people that are like helping us with different facets of this thing because they believe in it. And that's tremendous.
And that's what you want in your corner. You want people to believe in what you're doing. When bringing it back to age.
Yeah.
One of the most influential people in my life was this woman, Angela, and she stayed in my life up until the day that she passed, which was a few years ago. But the reason she was so influential was because I remember the first time I met her, she was probably in her late 50s, early 60s, and she wasn't your typical 50 or 60-year-old. And this is back when I was early 20s. She was a go-getter, and she worked at the local community college as an art teacher. She had an art studio in her room. Like, she wasn't anywhere near the age of retirement. Like, she didn't act like it. She didn't look like it. And I thought, I want to be her. And then you met her husband, And he was ageless too. And
he really was.
And then
he was building sun decks in the heat of Lake Havasu.
At 80 years old.
At 80 years old.
Yeah. So when you met him, you honestly didn't know how old he was. Like you knew he had wrinkles. You knew that like he had worked, he was retired, but you could never tell what age this man was because 1, they never talked about age. 2, they never acted their age.
Right.
And 3, they were so versed on everything current that you really honestly couldn't even talk to them about a conversation and get an idea of how old they were. Because sometimes you could talk to people and just in a straight up conversation, they don't know anything about current affairs. They're talking about things from 20 years ago. Yeah, they were not these people. So even up until the moment that they passed, they were truly ageless. I mean, Angela was such a supporter of doing what you wanted to do at any age that I have now become that person. There's no reason that age should limit you. And doing, again, this podcast has brought this up more than once for people that we have come into contact with about our age and, you know, what we should be doing in our golden years.
We're not there yet.
I'm like,
we're not even close to that yet. But I know what you're saying. Yeah, we should be prepping for our golden years 100%. Right now. Everybody's saying.
Okay. Sure. So with that being said, if you were to talk about how to prep for retirement or doing something you love to do, like what would be like the piece of advice that you would give a listener right now who like is working a 9 to 5, but really wants to do something outside that 9 to 5? I don't want to talk about side hustles because to me, when I hear the word side hustle, I just think you're unemployed. I'm not talking about Instagram bullshit. I'm talking about like real legitimate things that can put some money in the bank. Don't have to be a certain age to do it. Don't have to answer to anybody. And just like, I don't know, be happy. Because that's the whole thing, right? Like you don't want to just work your 9 to 5 and then like, you know, I mean, I guess you could. People, look, Gen Xers do it all the time. You know the whole thing about Gen X, right? Like, what's the hashtag? Like, what's that hashtag? Like,
whatever.
No. No, you're going to die till you retire.
Hashtag,
what is it? What is
that
it?
one?
What is it?
You're going to die till you retire.
What is it?
I'll retire when I die.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. So that's like the Gen X hashtag,
that's
right?
Terrible.
It is terrible, but that's how a lot of people.
Probably true, yeah.
That's how a lot of people feel. But obviously we're Gen Xers. We are not living that hashtag or even exploring that hashtag.
No, I mean, you know, ultimately, I think we would like to retire someday. Who knows? I don't know. It's like, you're like the kind of person, and I am too, where it's like, I always have my hand in a little bit of something.
For sure.
You know?
I mean, look, the whole thing about Gen Xers being that hashtag, what is it again?
I'll retire when I die.
It's because they don't have any money in the bank. Like, I think the average, oh, okay. I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to make you guess. Do you know what the average family savings is? Like, when you say average, it's like, you know, married, 2 kids, that's 1 dog, you know, that whole thing. Like average. Do you have any idea what the average, because you're normally really good at this. So I'm curious.
The average amount of like rainy day fund that a family has.
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking me? I would say it's not what it should be. I would say it's probably, I mean, I know a lot of people, you know,
all right, spit it out.
I know a lot of people don't. I would say I'm waffling until I can formulate a good guess. That
You're
I think
good at these
nail
numbers.
it.
You always guess. So just guess.
My guess is $25,000, $25,000 set aside.
Oh my gosh. I actually think this is the first time that like you've gotten it like severely wrong.
What?
It's $5,000.
$5,000.
Yeah. So.
Oh my God. Well, okay. So $5,000.
Yeah.
The average family in America.
Yeah. It's so sad. When I saw that, I know.
Okay.
So we're not going to linger on that though, because that will make everyone depressed as hell.
Okay. Well, this is going to depress you even more then.
Okay. Awesome.
I was actually listening to, like, I am also a consumer of podcasts and I was listening to this one survivalist guy. I forget what show it was on. It doesn't matter. The takeaway of his quote was, "We are basically 9 meals away from the fall of mankind."
Oh yeah, I believe that. I have always personally said that everyone is 1 paycheck away from living under a bridge.
It could, yeah. I mean, I think
truthfully, it's probably 4. It's probably 4 paychecks.
Yeah, it's probably 3 or 4 paychecks.
Yeah, right. Like you can go without 4 paychecks before you're living under a bridge.
I'd say most people would experience financial ruin if they were to go without a paycheck for a month. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's okay. So when you have $5,000 in the bank, that doesn't allot for 4 months of savings for any family.
No.
So with that being said,
that is depressing.
Yeah. So then you go back to, okay, our age group, working our 9 to 5. Are you happy? Do you want to do something on the side? There's got to be passive income for people who have $5,000 in the bank that are approaching retirement,
right.
that it doesn't have to fall apart. You're still a smart person. You're working.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're working.
And you have resources.
Yep.
You're probably not identifying them. In our case with the podcast, I had a bulk of the gear already just by the nature of what I do for a living. I just wasn't utilizing it in this manner or as frequently as we are now. Mm-hmm. So that was a resource I had.
When Bert suggested, hey, you guys should podcast.
I had microphones already.
Your travels.
In the garage, Yeah. And it was kind of easy. I was like, okay, well, this will take nothing for me to set up. I never knew we were going to do a video version of it. I had a camera, but I was using it for other things.
Yeah, that came like secondary.
Yeah, it didn't matter. But the point is, if you're a guy living in Podunk near a state park and there are boats everywhere and you have 4 acres and you like your pretty house and your kids get to play baseball and all that other stuff, it's great. But you're not you're treading water financially because your small town job just pays enough to cover the bills.
Right.
Why not take a portion of that 4 acres and I don't know, there are boats everywhere, set up a pole barn or a warehouse of some sort and get people to pay you a little extra monthly stipend to your income to put their boats there in the winter or their RVs or whatever. That's just one idea. I'm just saying
that's actually a really good idea. Mimi and really quick, let me just mention Mimi and Matt, they're friends of ours and they travel all over the country. They had an RV and they took a picture one time of a place they were in. I think it was Missouri. And they were literally sitting on folding chairs with a lake in front of them. And they had their RV parked on this property and it was a man's property who rents out little pieces of his land around his lake for RV people. Now, I don't know the whole technical setup. And my point is this guy, I was like, okay, after seeing the picture, I was saying to Mimi, wow, what a beautiful place to hang out. Then I was like, this guy is so smart. He is taking little parts of his property and just letting people camp out in their RVs. Yeah. I mean, if he's even charging, let's say, I don't know, I'm just guessing, $50 a night. Okay, he's got 3 people. That's $150 for one night. And he's not doing jack shit. Right. He is just letting them use his property for a beautiful place to rest their head. So you have to figure out a second something for yourself, right? For us, this is our second something.
This is our second something.
Yeah. This we're hoping will turn into our main something. Yeah. But right now it's our second something. So everyone who doesn't have, that, $1 million saved in the bank, because that's legitimately what you need. If you're going to retire at 65 and you want your money, because everyone talks about outlasting their money. Let's just go 20 years, okay, to 85. You seriously need $1 million in the bank if you live in a city or if you live in a state expensive, like California or Hawaii or
easily. I would imagine you need at least $1 million.
For sure. Not a question about it. If you live in a place like in Ohio, okay, maybe you can get away with $800,000 in the bank that will stretch you for 20 years. But we're talking 85 and people are living long beyond 85. Right. So what's going to be your side gig or what's going to be your side job? Supplemental income to help you get there. And you don't have to worry about your age. We are here saying we're not worried about our age. Average entrepreneurs, 44 years old. Right. So it's you could legitimately be the next big entrepreneur at 57. There's no reason that age should ever get in the conversation if you have a good idea.
Yeah.
I've always felt that way.
So 2 examples. Number 1, a hypothetical example. If you're good at sewing, okay, you don't own 4 acres. You can't, you're in an apartment somewhere, but you're good at sewing. Why not go down to the fabric store, get yourself 5 or 6 reams of really cool material, and all of a sudden, bang, you have a little side hustle. I hate to use that word. I know you don't like it. On Etsy or something like that, just to build out your business and assess the market. So, look, I can tell you right now,
a side hustle is not going to be free. You're going to have to spend a little money. You had these microphones, but you still had to buy lights. Let's be realistic. There were things
the biggest investment has been time.
That is true. So you're going to have to invest time
absolutely
for sure and money.
I'm not saying anybody's going to get their extra $1,000 a month for free.
This is not
I'm not
an Instagram post. This is not an Instagram post.
I'm not insinuating like it's a given. You're going to have to work this shit. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line is, all of a sudden it's like you have a better sense. Like I can tell you right now, I've bought 5 shirts off of Etsy just this year. And the reason that I buy that,
You're keeping someone in business, honey.
I absolutely am. And I'll tell you why, because I don't want to wear the same polo shirt that I see everybody else wearing, which is really ridiculous for a guy at this age.
You're keeping a little business up and running.
I'm trying to stay young, damn it. I want my shirts to look cool.
Oh, so you don't care about the little business. It's all about you.
It is all about me, but there's a little business out there that's serving my niche. Like, do you get it? Like, that's the whole point.
Okay.
And so anyway, the example, but then there's also an example. We talked about it in the Dubai episode. Our friend Lily was in the middle of producing all kinds of content and helping consequentially to run the World Expo with her partner, Simon. And in the middle of all that, she launched a distribution business for houseware.
Yeah. Kind of crazy. Yeah.
It's like, and it's going to be her whole new enterprise. Yep. And, I mean, it's just like, if you're willing to, and to me, it comes out like, I was thinking like, oh, you need a good idea or you need this or you need a hook or no, it's not any of that. No. It's like literally look at the resources around you and figure out how to leverage those. Make an extra $100 a month to start.
Yeah.
Just make 100. And then you're going to like, oh, you know what? If I tweak this, now all of a sudden you're making 200.
It's true.
And now, it's like.
And it could be something that you also already do. Like, for instance, I read an article about a woman, 80 years old. She's been an RN, her whole adult life, is retired. But now at 80 years old, she works at a local elementary school as their nurse. And she works 2 to 3 times a week. And she makes like $1,500 a month, which for an 80-year-old, like for anybody, that's like $16,000 a year. That's a good chunk of pocket change. With her retirement, with her pension, with her Social Security, like that's like, let's take the grandkids out and get pizza money, like that's totally. Let's go to Disneyland.
Yeah,
like
that's a nice chunk.
Yeah. And then like, well, let's go back to you. Like for someone who is constantly on TikTok.
What?
Okay. Do you know how many, do you know how many hours the average person is on TikTok?
How much the average person is on just on TikTok?
All right. Social media. Do you know how much the average person's on social media?
Per day?
Yeah.
I'd say it's probably 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, it's 3.5 hours. So if you're thinking like, wow, I could really up my game if I had a college degree, which for some people to get to the next level, like if they have a bachelor's, but want to get that executive VP job, they need a master's. If you're spending 3 hours as the average consumer is on the phone.
Wow.
I mean, a master's degree, I think, is like 120 hours, maybe something like that. Think about it. The amount of time you're spending on the phone, you can actually get a degree, and you can get the degree online. So, take that phone that you've been on and get yourself a degree.
That's your instructions to me right now. I'm hearing
here it goes back to you not thinking you can have time to get a master's degree.
I know I'm not on TikTok 3 hours a day for starters. I just don't have that kind of time.
He doesn't have the screen time on because he doesn't want me to know how long he's on.
This is such bullshit. No.
Anyway, if he takes the time that he spends on his phone, he could really have honestly been a double major right now.
Oh my God. Are you kidding? You of all people. Denise is the person who's on her phone all day long.
Working. I'm working. I hate my phone. I hate my phone.
Denise is on the phone all day long, walks into the room and immediately says, what, we're going to be on our phones all day?
Is that how I sound?
And then everybody like jumps up and their phones fly all over the place.
Is that how I sound?
Yeah, totally. That's exactly how you sound.
So anyway, those are just like really honestly 2 examples. Like when you think about like when you say, what are my resources? Like what's around me? Like I just literally gave an example of someone that can get a degree with their phone in their hand. And then another example of a woman who was already a doctor. Who was already a nurse and just decided to work part-time,
right?
Utilize that degree that she paid for, and had been working all those years. I mean, there are things people could do to make the future of there are things people can do so the future isn't so scary. And age should not be a deterrent.
absolutely agree with both points, but I would also add that there are also things people can do that's just a lot more meaningful to them than pushing paper in an office. Now,
Agreed.
There are plenty of people who have been at a job for 20 years or whatever. They have a killer 401k. They have this, they have that. Perhaps they don't need the extra income. They're doing great. They're just not doing something they're particularly passionate about.
Right. Age does seem to be a deterrent for some people, like in their head. Yeah. Like, oh, I don't know if I could do this.
It's easy to talk yourself out of it and say, oh, that's silly. I would never do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that now.
There's this whole conversation about how old you feel you are in your head, like what age you think you are and what age you really are. So like, you know, you can think one thing in your head, but it does not match what your number really is. Like, the article that I read, and this is very, very true. You know, women will ask other women this question, and the number is always the same. It's always 20 years, 15 to 20 years younger than the actual age, meaning that what you feel like you are in your head, it doesn't necessarily reflect your actual age number. So for instance, how old do you think you are in your head when you think about age? And like, not your body, not your physicality, not your knees giving out. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in your head when you think about how old you are. What number do you feel?
I would say on my best days, I feel like I am my 15-year-old self.
Oh, shit. You're still an adolescent. That explains a lot. Oh, my God.
Let me explain.
That explains a lot.
I can say that because that was like, for me in my life, that was my first sense of self-determination. I was X amount of months away from driving a car, and I was going to get a job at Burger King or wherever, and I was going to have freedom for the first time. And it's also, I remember the summer of '85 was like the first summer, going back to the music thing, where like music really lit me on fire. It's like, I remember camp, like I grew up in a rural environment. So we would camp. We were finally allowed to camp overnight with our friends, like at a nearby friend's house out on their property somewhere. And, you know, we'd be listening to Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA, or Bryan Adams or the Cars, or, you know, whatever the band was. So it was the first time in my life where it was like the thrill of new music, which is a theme for me. And also the thrill of sort of being able to call my own shots very, very soon. I would say age 15. The only other time I would think in my life where that sort of came into play was really when I truly started my career. So back when the babies were born, and
what age is that?
I think I was probably around 31, 32 in that range. Like I was working, like it was apparent I was good at what I was doing, and I was going to book work, you know, and you and I all of a sudden had money for a new car. We had money to go to Vegas. We had, you know, if the family was coming out or whatever, we had money to do trips or put the kids in ballet or whatever the hell. And so that was invigorating. All of my best ages, I think, were just based really on my ability to call my own shots. So that's how old I am in my head on good and on my best days, I'm 15. On my just okay days, I'm 32.
Well, you know, I always tell my daughters that every man you meet, whether they're 22 or 50, really, they're all just 15. I've said this over and over again. Don't date an older man because you think he's more mature. He's still 15, and you have just now confirmed it. Thank you for that. Okay.
It's a good spot to be. What about you? You need to answer the question. Don't be changing subjects on me.
I actually am just.
How old are you?
I'm like normal.
In your head?
Yeah, in my head, I'm normal. Like if you asked me in my 40s how old I felt, I would say 27.
I'm not asking you in your 40s.
Okay, but now I'm 50, so I feel like
54.
Yeah, like 40. I'm freaking 40. Okay,
You're 40?
In my head. Yeah, I'm not 15.
You are a cougar.
Stop.
You are 40 years old chasing a 15-year-old. What the hell is wrong with you? You know that's illegal.
There's so much about like Yeah, it is totally illegal. And I'm going to have to rethink this whole relationship. One, you didn't even remember what are the Alanis Morissette, and now you're 15. All of this is so explainable. There's so much going on in our relationship right now that is so explainable in this one podcast.
Oh my God. Is our next episode about family therapy?
Probably. Yeah.
Okay.
But in any case, the whole reason that people come up with a number, and he explained it perfectly, because I read this article like about it in the New Yorker. But if you just even ask your friends, they will all say the same. Like when I asked my sister-in-law how old she felt in her head, she's 67. I didn't even finish my sentence, and she immediately said, I feel 45. I asked my other sister-in-law, she said she felt 33. And they all everyone has a reason. And usually it's like, there's something about that age that brought you happiness or something that like made you feel carefree. Like there's something about that age. For me, in my 40s, if you asked me, I would have said 27 because in my 40s, I still felt like I could hang with a 27-year-old. 27 was a great age for me.
You're a night owl.
I lived in Los Angeles.
Established.
Yeah. I could still, in my 40s, I go to concerts. I can hang till 2 a.m. So 27 still like was a good number. Now at 54, I don't say 27. No, I say 37, 40 because I can go out late, but I'm not staying till 2 a.m. I'm not going and dancing. I'm going to a concert, but man, I'm going to leave right when the last song ends. So I would definitely say I am realistic in feeling my age now. I'm 54, but I feel I could hang with a 40-year-old. I may not go out for cocktails till 2 a.m., but I can certainly do a happy hour.
Okay. And you do. So that brings up the point though. I feel like maybe your best age in your mind at any given point is the age where you feel like your experience matches your abilities.
Yes, which is why our friends Jim and Angela never acted their age.
Yeah.
Ever.
It's true. It's
true.
And
in a very youthful way, not in a silly way.
Yeah.
Like they still acted their age when it was appropriate, but you never knew how old they were. Age never was a determining factor of the jobs they wanted, the travels they made, the people they saw, the friends that they made. They had friends of all ages. Because I think some people hit a certain age also and just think, I can't be friends with her. She's too young. Like society makes you feel a certain age when you are a certain age.
Right.
Like why are there 65-year-olds that are like, glued to the couch, overweight, not active, and they act like they're 80-year-olds. And then you have 80-year-olds who are acting like they're 55.
Totally.
Like
and moving around like it too.
Yeah.
I know we're not talking about the physical parts, but you can tell the people, like I do think
younger mindset
plays into your physicality for sure.
So when you're thinking about age and like what's approaching, I mean, I love this platform that we have where we can talk about something like this topic because there are people who ask us why and how we did what we did. So it's like, if there's something that you think you want to do, or if you want to like really explore what James and I are doing more, like how are we doing it? Please, by all means, like, send us a message. We'd love to chat and help you explore whatever options you may have to like get something going for your future that would help you retire more comfortably. I mean, I don't know. I know there's like real estate. Real estate's a big thing.
Absolutely. Real estate's a big thing. Even if you only have like $10,000, you can find, actually, there are companies now. My friend Chris Collins runs one where you can take a parcel of money and throw it into a bigger pot with other small investors. And all of a sudden, this company has the ability to purchase like an 80-unit apartment building or something. You or I would not be able to do that right now. We would not be able to go out and purchase an 80-unit apartment building. No, not
by ourselves.
Like we're looking at duplexes, you and I.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you wanted some sort of passive income and you had this money and you're like, okay, I'm already...
You could share the risk with other people.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And somebody else is, sure, the company's going to take a bigger portion of the profits, of course. But, if you wanted the money to sit there and just keep rolling it over, there are plenty of opportunities to do that as an investor. So, maybe you don't want the headache of running your own Airbnb or
it's a lot of work.
10 rental units or like for some people, it's like, I just want to make some money, and I don't want to, I want as little bullshit as possible.
Yeah.
There are places like that are great examples of how to do that, but now's the time to do it. And
it was just like age doesn't even have anything to do with it.
Doesn't. And the biggest thing is like, do not wait for permission from your friends or your parents or your kids or whatever to approve your idea. Just start doing it. Like if you want to start a landscaping business,
do it.
Go buy a freaking mower.
And who cares if you're 70 years old? Just do it.
Exactly.
Remember, the average age of the American entrepreneur was 44. Colonel Sanders was 62.
Colonel Sanders.
62 when he started Kentucky Fried Chicken. He was making the chicken for many years before that, but he actually had Kentucky Fried Chicken inception at age 62. Like, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. All right. So I think we've gotten our point across on this episode.
Yeah, you're old.
That hurts. Take them out, please.
Empty nest, full tank.
See you guys next week.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.